When the insurance company doesn't pay what you deserve after you've been hurt in an auto accident, the law firm of Greenberg & Betterman is here to help you. Get a free consultation today. Visit gblawyers.com. That's gblawyers.com and feel better.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Man, check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is marriage. More specifically, I'm going to give you some marriage hot takes. Now, here's the kicker. The marriage hot takes won't be coming from me. They will be coming from a very large 6'4", 330-pound man and his wife. That's right, folks. Former NFL player, Super Bowl champion, Ndamukong Suh and his wife, Katya, actually offered some marriage hot takes on Instagram recently. And I'll be honest, normally I don't pay attention to celebrities or what they have to say or any advice that they give because, you know, everybody's different, especially when it comes to marriage. There's no one right way to do things or one wrong way to do things. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do both right and wrong, but you have to do what works for you. So I don't take a lot of people's advice, but what struck me was the consistency of the hot takes that they offered on Instagram. And I don't even know how it ended up on my timeline, but I was very intrigued by what I saw. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? You should talk about this on the podcast because as many of you know, your boy 12 Kyle recently hit at the time of this recording, 25 years of marriage. It's okay. You can clap. My wife, Sharice, and I met on the campus of South Carolina State University. And we have been together for 25 years. We've been married for 25 years. We've been together longer than that. And it's interesting because when people ask me how long we've been together, my simple word is forever, because that's exactly what it feels like. But nonetheless, I wanted to come on and talk about some of these hot takes. Again, I don't offer advice to people because here's the thing. Everybody's not meant for marriage, and marriage, for the most part, is doesn't work for everybody. And for some people, it doesn't work at all. And not everybody wants to be married. But I found these hot takes to be hot, but very, very key as well. Now, let me give you some background. Again, I mentioned Ndamukong Suh, very large man. He was very good at his profession when he played for 13 years in the NFL. He's a former Super Bowl champion. Both he and his wife, Katya, her real name is Katarina, but we're going to call her by the name that she goes by as Katya, Katya. And their last name is Suh, Suh. They've been married at the time of this recording for 5 years, and they have twin sons, Kingston and Kari. And they're a very cute couple. She seems to be because Ndamukong Suh is 6'4". She looks like she's probably about 5'11", maybe 6 feet tall. So I will assume that their kids are going to be pretty big too, because their dad is huge. And what was interesting was I found out that Ndamukong Suh, his dad is only 5'8". But his grandfather was 7'3". So that's, I guess, how you get the size that he got. But he was a very large man that played football and threw people around for a living. And he was very good at what he did. So let me give you these hot takes from the Suhs. First one, and these are no particular order. First one, hot take. Some seasons will break you if you're not aligned. Marry someone who's in it when it's boring, brutal, and not Instagram worthy. I mean, listen, you're going to have moments where you would rather just go somewhere else, like where things just won't be going your way. Maybe you get kind of off track as a couple. And so, yeah, none of that stuff is Instagram worthy. Everybody always sees the pictures and we all look so blissful and happy and everything like that. But if you're married, or if you want, or you have the desire to get married, you're going to have some days. And when I say some days, I mean some days where you don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know if maybe if the marriage is coming or going. But, those are the days that I think help define you as a couple, you as an individual, and then you as a collective. Next hot take. Don't marry someone who's only good when life is good. You need someone who shows up when everything is falling apart. Listen, if you're together long enough in a relationship, if you're together long enough in a marriage, things are going to fall apart. And then what I mean by that, I don't mean like things are going to fall apart as like someone's going to cheat or anything like that. But what I mean, like, things could fall apart financially. Like, and what I mean by that is you're working, your spouse goes to work one day and she comes home and now she's out of a job. So now everything falls on you, financially or what have you, or both of you lose your jobs, or, maybe there may be a situation where, let's say your in-laws or your parents get involved in your marriage and your finances, and it seems like everything is pulling at you and your spouse in your marriage. That happens probably more than people who are married are willing to admit. The thing I always tell people is that, particularly if you've been married for a while, you normally have the battle scars to show it. Like if you've been in fights, physical fights, you got some scars to show, your work. As many of you are watching on YouTube, and I thank you all for watching, you see this helmet here from South Carolina State. When I played football, one of the things that was always interesting was you look at the front of the guy's helmet. And particularly for those who played on the offensive or defensive line, like Ndamukong Suh did, they had a lot of scratches on their helmet because they were constantly in battle because they're banging heads every single play, right? But they have the scars to show it. Now, those scars heal and those wounds heal, but the thing about being in a marriage is that you're going to have those battle marks. And I maybe I shouldn't call them scars. Maybe I should just call them battle marks, because those battle marks show that you've been just that, in a battle. And sometimes the battle is within. Sometimes the battle is within the marriage between you and your spouse. Sometimes the battle is with outside forces, but you're going to be in battles. So, to their point, you need to have somebody that can show up when things are falling apart, because here's the thing, when things fall apart, that's when the two of you should be coming close together. It's not when you should be pointing fingers saying, hey, you did this or you did that, because nobody's perfect, right? And I always laugh or chuckle at people when they're, oh, we've got the perfect marriage. That's a lie. I don't care how long you've been together. Ask your granny or your auntie or whomever who that that's been married for any amount of years. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's been married 50 or 60 years. But ask them, like, how is it? And if they tell you it's perfect, they're lying, because we're not perfect people, right? So if you don't have two perfect people, then how can you have a perfect marriage? I don't even know if you can have a perfect friendship, right? I mean, like, I speak personally on this because I know for a fact there are times that this woman gets on my last nerve. And I can unequivocally say, no matter what you guys think of me or what you may think of me, I'm sure that there are times where I get on her last nerve. And that may be hard for some of y'all to fathom, but y'all don't know me. I can be an asshole at times. Not a lot, but but I'm not. It's not like I'm beating her up or anything like that. But we can have moments. We do have our moments where we disagree on things, and that happens. And especially when you have two headstrong people. But I will agree with this point by the Sues. It's a marriage hot take. Don't marry someone who's only good when life is good, because life isn't always going to be good. You need someone who's going to show up at the same time when everything is falling apart. Because if you're together long enough, the reality is things will fall apart at some point. Get someone who can weather the storm with you, because they're going to have you're going to have storms. And a lot of times it's not even about the storm. It's about how you handle the storm, because in life, you're either going to be going through a storm or coming out of one. That's usually how it goes. Here's another marriage hot take. Your spouse impacts your life more than your job ever will. pick someone who multiplies your growth, not your problems. Now, I don't really know that I have to say any more than that, because a lot of times we get too dedicated to the job. And some people, not all, some people are way more dedicated to the job than they ever will be to their spouse. And if that's the case, the reality is you probably shouldn't be married, because you know my motto: if you don't own the company, you are expendable. Everybody's expendable unless you own the company. And if you own the company and you put everything into the company and you don't put everything into your spouse, then 9 times out of 10, something's going to go lacking. But yeah, hot take: your spouse impacts you more than your job ever will. Pick someone who multiplies your growth. Growth is very important in a marriage. How you grow financially, how you grow spiritually, how you grow individually, and how you grow collectively. You can't grow a marriage individually. You can't grow a marriage collectively if you don't grow individually. Because if the marriage is growing collectively and you're growing collectively, then that's a good thing. You probably arrive to where you want to be at the same time. But if you both aren't growing individually, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But again, pick someone who multiplies your growth, not your problems. The last thing you want is for your spouse to be a problem or be problematic for you. I mean, honestly, you can go find problems in the street. You ain't got to get married to avoid problems. I mean, if you want problems, you could just stay single, because a lot of people, in the streets are problematic. And we know this going into these, dealings or situationships or whatever you want to call it. Another hot take. A $100,000 wedding won't save a $10 relationship. Marry someone who's focused on building a future, not funding a party. Man, listen, that's a bar right there, because I don't get into people's finances, but I think, just my personal opinion, I never believed in spending a bunch of money on a wedding. Now, for someone like Ndamukong Suh, who's made millions and is a millionaire, spending $100,000 on a wedding might not be much to him. For someone like me, who makes $7.27 an hour, no, I'm not. I'm not spending $100,000 on a wedding. Well, fortunately enough for me, I don't have to pay for another wedding, at least until my daughter gets married. But even then, I'm not spending $100,000 on a wedding. But no matter how much you spend on a wedding, if your relationship is worthless or useless or isn't worth $10, then it's not going to matter. And the one thing, again, I stop short of saying that I'm offering advice, but the one word that I will give you, the one piece of game that I will give you, shout out to Uncle Dolomite from the Too Much Game podcast. That's the homie right there. Check his podcast out. The one piece of game I will give you is that, focus on the marriage, focus on the friendship, because those are the things that last. Weddings only last 20 minutes, 25 minutes at the most. Your reception may last an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's it. After that, everybody's going to go home. The pictures that you take are going to be dope, but you're going to put those pictures in a photo album or in a cloud or something, and it's not going to help you on day 57 when you got to deal with your spouse and you're dealing with, trying to find a place for your child to go to school, or trying to build equity in a home that you just bought.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Quick quiz. What injury law firm has been helping people in the District, Maryland, and Virginia for over 35 years? That's right. It's Greenberg and Betterman. Auto accident? Medical malpractice? Get a free consultation by visiting gblawyers.com and feel better.
When you have to make those decisions, or you get a job in, Cleveland and your wife gets a job in Minnesota. Like, what are you going to do? So those type of things. You want to focus on building a future, not funding a party. So that was a pretty good hot take as well. Here's the next hot take from the Suhs. The right partner pushes you when no one's watching and stands by you when everyone is. If they only praise you but never challenge you, they're not growing with you. Man, listen, that's a bar and a half. Let me say that again. The right partner pushes you when no one stands by, when no one's watching, and stands by when everybody is watching. If they only praise you but never challenge you, they're not growing with you. Ultimately, you want to have someone that grows with you. I talk about that all the time. Like, it is very important in whatever friendship or relationship or marriage that you have that you are growing together. Doesn't mean you got to be doing the same thing, but you have to be on the same page. And you have to keep the line of communication open. I think, the one thing I can say that I've learned in this 25 years that Sharice and I have been married is that we've kept the lines of communication open. And when we've had times where the lines of communication were cloggy and stopped up, I mean, we had to sit down and have some conversations like, hey, man, I feel like this and you feel like that. And we need to kind of get on the same page. And getting on the same page doesn't necessarily mean that you agree on the same things, because sometimes you're not going to agree on the same things, because if you're two different people, sometimes you're just going to have two different opinions, but you have to find some type of middle ground so you can move forward. But I agree with them 1,000%. I mean, the right partner you have will push you. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage and your spouse isn't pushing you, it's time to push on. Seriously, because ultimately, whatever success that you get in individually becomes a problem for them as you move forward, because they're going to feel like they're not with you. Any success I have, that's the success is for us. When I win, she wins. When she wins, I win. It's never been about individuality. For me, if I wanted individual awards, I'd have stayed single and been a player. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I have single friends who are very comfortable and very happy, both male and female, being single, and they're cool with it. And that's fine, because, like, again, as I mentioned at the top, everybody didn't want to be married, and that's cool. But, you want to have someone that challenges you, because you're going to have challenges that come before you anyway. And you want to have someone there by your side, someone there who's pushing you and cheering you on. Another hot take: if they trash their partner behind closed doors, they'll do it to you too. That's not a red flag. That's the whole flag. How someone talks about their spouse behind their back says a lot about them. Listen, if you don't talk glowingly about your spouse, then I don't know what to tell you, because there's nobody that probably knows you better. And there's probably nobody that you should know even better than your spouse. And if you can't speak positivity about them, I just have to ask the question, why are you with them? I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to talk bad about somebody or be with somebody that I don't want to be with. And if I got to talk bad about you, then we're probably not meant for us to be together. Hot take: if you've never built a marriage, don't give advice on one. Love is easy. Commitment takes work. Respect the difference. That's a bar. That's a bar. If you've never built a marriage, don't give advice on one. Again, I mentioned before, I'm very leery about using the word advice, because what worked for me in my marriage doesn't necessarily may or may not work for you, but they're fundamentals to the game. And I think I can give you baseline ideas and thoughts about the game, because the game is the game, and it's all on what you put into the game. And, it's just like anything else. If you hone your craft, if it's something that you work at, if it's something that you're dedicated to, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get better at it, and you get better over time. And I think that's the thing that, as we celebrated this 25th year, we've kind of looked back and said, well, hey, we did this right. This is the part that we did right, and we built on this right here. And, sitting down, something as simple as sitting down and talking about our goals. because there could have been one time that I woke up one day and I just wanted to become a rapper. So what happens if at 35 I'm like, I want to be a rapper, and I have a new name. I'm the Wingtip Rapper, and now I'm going to shows. I'm trying to get put on. I'm trying to, do tours and stuff like that. I mean, she has to make a decision. Is she going to support this journey? I leave this job, so now I'm leaving a guaranteed salary for, a dream. Are you going to support the dream, or are you going to, chastise the dream? Those are decisions that you have to make, but you learn those things through communication. You learn those things over time, because more often than not, your partner's not going to come out of nowhere and just come up with some idea to change the world or change themselves without you knowing about it. But if you're constantly having conversations, you can see the buildup to that. So you're not blindsided by the idea of me wanting to be MC Wingtip Rapper. But yeah, if you've never built a marriage, don't give advice on one. Love is easy. Commitment takes work, and it does. And commitment is, it's about being committed to the commitment. And that's something that's easier said than done. I will be the first to admit. And it's something that I think has gotten a little bit easier as I've gotten older. But, being committed to and dedicated to the dedication, to the work that you have to put in, and it's constant work. I've talked about this several times on the podcast. Like, you got to work at it. Me and the homie Baylor did an episode talking about marriage. And I told him, like, you got to be committed to the commitment, and the commitment of you and the commitment of her. And that can't be shaken. And once that's shaken, then you got to reel it back in and say, okay, well, hey, where do we build from here? Where do we go from here? And you have to respect the difference. And here's the last hot take. Who you marry decides your lifestyle, your peace, your habits, and your future. But most people spend more time picking a vacation than picking a partner. Listen, I think it's very, very important that you put in the time to get to know the person that you're getting married to. I try not to, particularly with my kids, I'm honest with them, but I try not to paint this grandiose picture, because what their parents have was something that was started on a college campus, a long time ago in 1994. And it was organic. Like, we weren't even like checking for each other when we first met. So it was something that organically built over a period of time. And, she and I talk now a lot about, those conversations that we had as kids, young adults in our 20s, about like what life would look like and where we would live and how many kids we'd have. And I'll be honest, she said she always wanted 4 kids. I never remember mentioning anything. I knew I had to have a son. And we had Dion. He was our first child. But when you have those dreams and everything, you get to that point. But, to the hot take, who you marry decides your lifestyle, your peace. Peace is very important. Your habits and your future. I could not have envisioned the future that we had, or that we would have, back in 1995 and 94. I could not have envisioned this, or even 2000 when we got married. I could not have envisioned the life that we have built for ourselves and our children, but we just kept putting one foot in front of the other. We kept taking it day by day. And that sounds cliche, but that's truly how we got to this point. And for us to get to 50 years, that's what it's going to take to get to that point, right? So it's not something that it happens over time, but it's small building blocks. But spend time getting to know the person that you would like to spend the rest of your life with. I think far too often people jump into relationships. I understand sometimes kids come into play. I mean, hell, we had Dion before we got married, but we had already been together, for like 5 years before that even happened. So it was, it wasn't like, and I tell people all the time, it wasn't like, us getting married was going to or Dion was going to save our marriage, because the kids never save a marriage. That's a popular misnomer. And people should never get married because of the kids. I know that happens, but it probably shouldn't happen, because the kids are innocent pieces to the puzzle. But focus on building a life with someone. So focus on learning what they like. Focus on learning who they are, because honestly, over a period of time, they're going to change. I always say this. I think the core of who you are doesn't change. Like, if you take me back to 1995, 30 years ago, right? I'm on the campus of South Carolina State University. I'm, preparing myself to graduate in 1996. But I think the core of who that person is still within me. I don't think that I've changed that much. Now, I've obviously grown a lot. I've matured a lot. I look different. I'm gray now. Got to put on a couple pounds. So I ain't the same from 95. None of us are. Nobody's the same that they were 30 years ago. But the core of who you are always remains the same. So I think it's important that you let the person who you're going to marry get to know and love the core of who you are, because when everything else is changing, the core stays the same. The same goes for your marriage. Everything stays the same in the core of the marriage. If you have core values, if you have core beliefs, if you have core things that you do that make you tick, that doesn't change. What you eat for dinner, or where you want to go to eat, or the type of clothes you're going to buy, that stuff changes. I thought at one point in time, all I was going to ever wear was, t-shirts, jeans, and sneakers. And then I went to a point in my life where I was buying suits, and I was wearing suits all the time because that's what I did to go to work. And now I'm back to wearing t-shirts, jeans, and shorts and sneakers. But the core of me hasn't changed. The core of Sharice hasn't changed. Maybe I would assume that the core of the Suhs have not changed. They offered some very good hot takes. And the more and more I read them, not only do I agree with them, I think that they gave a lot of game. And ultimately, I think everybody can learn a little bit from what we just talked about, if you're listening. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday and every Sunday. Also, check us out on YouTube. Download, like, and subscribe there, and share this podcast with a friend. Also, we have merch. We have merch. Click the link in the description box that says merch. You can buy 12 Kyle podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. And lastly, we have a new baby. It is called the Rap Soul Podcast. If you are a fan of music, you need to check this podcast out. On this podcast, we deal with music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, hip hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, folks, it's the best music podcast that you've never heard. So make sure that you check it out, download, and subscribe there as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheers.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Today's tip from the injury law firm Greenberg and Betterman. Too many pedestrians lose themselves in their phones and have accidents when they walk. So don't do it. Greenberg and Betterman is here to help you. Contact gblawyers.com, that's gblawyers.com, and feel better.